Hello and welcome back. All right, so on this lesson, I want to show you another way to use the color range selection option. We went over color range briefly when we talked about the marquee tools and how you can select different colors on one layer, but this is probably a more practical use, especially for photographers. So if you want to follow along or practice what you learn after this lesson, then grab this image from the resources folder. So let's say we have a sunset photo like this and we like the orange and the yellows, but maybe we want to make them more intense and more saturated. Well, trying to use one of the selection tools to select just the orange colors is going to be nearly impossible because there's orange up in here, there's orange here, there's orange in other places that are being scattered across the sky. There's orange in between the tree branches. There's orange in the water. So how are we going to select all this information? Well, we can easily do that with our color range tool. So let's go ahead and turn that on and see how we can use this. So selecting that option gives you a color range dialog box with a lot of different options for fine-tuning your selections based on a color range. So let me show you how to use this tool in order to select just the orange colors, or even the yellows and the oranges. The best way is with our eyedropper tools, which are located right here. And to sample an area, we can use the first eyedropper tool to click on an orange color, and then this area right here, this is the preview area of our image, and this is a preview with the selection. So this is like a layer mask. White adds or white selects and black removes. So anything in white is being selected, and we've selected some orange colors, but there's a lot more to select. So we can use our second eyedropper tool, which will add to the sample selection. So I can click another area that includes maybe a different shade of orange, and every time I click in different areas, it's adding that color range to the layer mask. So over here we have some darker colors and even darker colors down here. And then we have some colors down in here, but I'm not going to use my eyedropper tool for those or the other areas in the sky. Instead, I can use my fuzziness slider to increase or decrease the color range selection. So it's kind of like you're feathering. You're increasing the amount that's being selected when you move it to the right. Now, if you take a look at the preview as I increase it, you can see more and more white is being added, and that's basically more of the orange and yellow colors being selected. Maybe I want more yellow selected, so I can go back in here and click in that area of the sunset, and it's going to add a lot more, but maybe that was too much. So let's bring it back down just a little bit to around 60. And then if you need to, you can remove a color range with your subtraction eyedropper tool, which is located right here. You can also view your selection directly on your image in the background with your selection preview. Right now it's set to none, but if I set it to grayscale, then I'm going to see that preview right here behind the dialog box on the actual image. And then we have some other options to choose from to help us see if we need to fine-tune our fuzziness slider or other options in order to get what we want selected. You can also constrain your selections by using localized color clusters, and when you activate that, it's going to select a lower range of colors that you started with, but it's not going to be a very smooth transition. It's going to be a lot harsher, so you may want to turn that off. But you can always experiment with that to see if maybe that does give you better results. You can also save this in case you need to come back to it later on as you're working, and then you can use your load button to bring that back in. Now, if you don't want to make your selections with the eyedropper tools, you can click on the select menu drop down right here, and then you can select by different colors, red, yellow, any other colors. Or if you want to select everything in the highlights, you can do that, the midtones or the shadows or skin tones. You have your different options here as well versus sampled colors. I prefer to use the sampled colors, so that's what we're just going to do for now. I'm going to bring this back down just a little bit. All right, so once we click OK, Photoshop is going to add our dancing ants around the areas that have those color ranges in them. And as you can see, it's pretty much covered everything in here. Maybe there's a few spots here and there that haven't been selected. So what you need to do then is to deselect this current selection with Command or Control and the letter D, and then go back to color range again, and it's going to remember the color range selections that you made, and then you can come back in here with your addition tool and click in another area to add to the selection. Okay, so once you're happy with your new selection, click OK again. And now we can see we have a lot more because I did click in the sky right here that has some blue in it. It's actually adding the water. So we're going to undo that again. Command or Control and the letter D to unselect. We're going to go back to color range, and then I'm going to use my eyedropper tool to remove the colors from the clouds in this area here. Now I think I really messed that up, so I'm going to go ahead and restart by resetting my color range and adding back to it by clicking back in some different colored areas here. All right, now I need to increase the fuzziness just a little bit to increase the feathering. And I think right there should be pretty good. Actually, I'm going to bring it down a little. Okay, now let's check it out. All right, so now we have our selection. And we want to work non-destructively. So I'm going to duplicate my layer with Command or Control and the letter J. And what it's actually doing is it's giving you the selection based on that color range setup that you did. And then what you can do is select one of your adjustment tools, let's say hue and saturation, because maybe we want to increase the saturation of those colors. I wouldn't go that far, but I'm just trying to show you an example of what you can do. We can also change the colors as well with the hue slider if we want to do that. And that's just one other way that you can use your selection tools to make changes to your image based on a color range. So go ahead, grab this image, practice what you learned, and you'll be ready to move on to the next lesson.